Good evening and welcome into Tennessee Volunteers live on the Voice of College Football Network. Tucker Harlan and Jordan Binkley with you on this Monday evening. Glad to have all of you along for the ride with us. Appreciate you for being here. I just realized I was looking at our screen for a second and realized I did not put our little ticker down there at the bottom.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. It threw me off for a second. I was like, something's not right. But no, there was no ticker at the bottom. My apologies for not doing that. But now you can see. Please like, share, and subscribe to Tennessee at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. Again, we are live every Monday night at 8 Eastern Time. And again, tell your friends about us. Share us with your friends. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Do all that fun stuff. Helps us out a lot. Helps you get close to all kinds of great Tennessee football content here in the off season. Hope you all had a fairly nice weekend. Hope you're staying out of the cold weather. I think that's everybody's biggest concern again after having to deal with all this cold over the weekend. Certainly not fun for anybody to go back to that. It was snowing out here today.
Really?
And I know it was snowing even harder in Knoxville. I know it's not anywhere near as bad as it is in the Northeast, thankfully, but it's snowing again here. I hate how February does this thing where it like pretends like it's easing into spring and then all of a sudden it just gets cold again like that. So do not understand why Mother Nature has to be like that, but here we are. It'll warm up again soon though. Don't worry. We'll be fine. Let's see. Anything else happen over the weekend? We saw the basketball team won in Memorial Gym against Vanderbilt. That's a ranked road win. You'll take that, and that's a team that was projecting as a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament in Vanderbilt too. So very, very impressive win for the Vols there. Softball team is still number one. Everybody else did not do well, including baseball, who lost 2 of 3 to Kent State. Mark Rogers, our boss, if you're watching this, congrats to your Golden Flashes for taking 2 of 3 against our Vols. I'll just go ahead and say that. If you even watch baseball, he probably doesn't watch college baseball, though, because it's a very niche Southern sport. It kind of feels like. I mean, I guess some people like it out in the ACC and in, like, California and Texas, but, like, Big Ten country, they're not big fans of it, though. And then, of course, the Lady Vols are still Lady Volling a little bit right now. So not the best weekend in Tennessee sports, but, hey, if you give me a ranked road win in basketball, I'll take that in exchange for losing 2 of 3 in an early season series to Kent State. Jordan, what did you do this weekend?
Oh, well, this weekend I had a lot of fun, man. I decided to get out of my comfort shell a little bit. I decided to take Nashville on by myself. First time like going out, not in a group. I went to a couple clubs, had a lot of interesting, fun things go on. It was quite a blast. Got to dance around a little bit and let loose. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know whether to be impressed or terrified by the idea of going out in downtown Nashville by myself. It's just the idea of downtown Nashville itself for multiple different reasons. Obviously, Broadway is not a place I want to find myself in.
Well, thankfully, I didn't go there. I went to a couple of EDM clubs around the place.
Yeah, you're a big EDM guy. You love going to those music festivals and like Bonnaroo and seeing them down there at Bonnaroo. So, or at least when it's not flooding down at Bonnaroo, I should say anyway.
Yeah.
No, I had a solid weekend. I just watch the Vols. I think is what I do every weekend when it's not summertime and there's no sports on the TV. So that's kind of what I get busy doing over the weekend. So. No, it's a fun weekend still, even if it did decide to get cold out of nowhere. Oh yeah, I know what I did now. I sat outside by a bonfire in the freezing cold and watched Auburn beat Kentucky in basketball. I do remember what I did on Saturday now. Kind of regret that decision because the fire was not that good and it was super cold outside out of nowhere. So I had to like drink a cup of coffee, and I used to drink coffee all the time at night, but
at night,
yeah, at night I used to. I don't anymore. I don't advise anybody do that, but it was so cold outside. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee. And when I went to bed, I had this weird feeling of like, okay, the sheets, they feel nice, They're nice and cozy after having been outside for so long, but it's like, man, my body can't shut down because I've consumed this cup of coffee. Not, not something I'd advise you to. But something I used to do for a long time. Thankfully, I don't do it anymore. But that's enough on what we did this weekend. So we don't get into serious off-field matters often on this show, but we kind of have to this week, just with everything that occurred this past week. And of course, I'm talking about the loss of our longtime media colleague and the Tennessee Athletics beat, Wes Rucker. David already mentioned it here in the chat. 10 at 3 was his latest show on WBIR. Of course, he was at 247 Sports for a very, very long time, covering the Vols there. Chattanooga Times Free Press as well. And yeah, I'm trying to think, like, of everybody on the Tennessee beat, I'd say maybe Rick. Well, I know for sure Rick Russo has been around longer, and then Brent Hubbs and maybe Jimmy Himes. But like outside of that, he's was one of the more veteran people on the beat. Had been there a quarter of a century. And I mean, if you've hopped on social media at any point in time, you know who Wes Rucker is. So certainly somebody that we're going to be missing on the beat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really sad situation. And like you said, he's been around for so long covering Tennessee athletics. I've probably followed him on Twitter for like close to a decade now. And like one thing that I always think about when I'm remembering Wes Rucker is how many times I would forget to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And he would always announce the touchdowns or any big plays before it would happen on TV. And then I would just happen to have my phone out during the time and I'll be like, well, hey, guess what, guys? It sounds like Tennessee just scored a touchdown or Tennessee just threw a pick six. And now we have to bounce back now. Like, I don't know how many times that happened. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that may have even happened for the Georgia game for me, but I can't remember or not. But yeah, I mean, I've been following him for a long time. I mean, he's one of the most trusted Tennessee sports media members out there. And he seemed like such a great family guy as well. I mean, it seemed like everyone loved him that was around him. And it's unfortunate everything that happened, but I mean, I'll be praying for his family and everything like that because, he genuinely seemed like a good guy. I was never fortunate enough to meet him, but I've enjoyed his work for a long time, and it seemed like he was able to mix in Tennessee stuff with a little bit of his personal life too, which I always respected as well.
Yes. So on that note, and you mentioned the Twitter thing, like I think he still is the most followed member of the Tennessee beat by a long shot. Like I think was somewhere around 140,000 followers on Twitter, which is far and away more than anybody else. Like I think Austin Price is sitting around like 60,000 right now. And then maybe like Houston Crest got up into the 80s lately or something. But I mean, far and away the most followed man on Vol Twitter. And I did have the privilege of knowing Wes, having worked around him for the better part of 4 years. But also I knew of Wes long before I ever met Wes. Obviously there's the whole Twitter thing, but I was fortunate to grow up around some of his family members here in the mid-state, got to know them really, really well. I think the first time I ever heard of Wes was it was in 2011. It was after the Georgia game. Tennessee's lost to Georgia at home. And of course that was the game where Tyler Bray broke his thumb. That's where we figured out that he had broken his thumb. It was from Wes because he was the one that was reporting it first. So I remember that. I think the first time I met him was at a baseball game that I was covering maybe my sophomore year of college. They were playing Georgia and we just got to talking and got to talking after the press conference after Vitello, and I think it was Evan Russell and Luke Lipsius who were in front of us that night. And then I think the first time I formally had a conversation with Wes was at a wedding of all places, not even in a media setting. And we got to talking about how he ascended through his career, and he did everything at Tennessee too. He didn't just do the Daily Beacon. He was on WUTK. I don't know if he did the TV program there or not. I know he'd been on TV several times, like WBIR. Even before they hired him, like he had been on several of their shows in the past. I think it was Ryan Callahan who mentioned something about the columns that he wrote in the Daily Beacon back in the day, like back in the early 2000s when he was at UT. And I got to thinking about that first conversation I had with Wes because he mentioned one. And keep in mind, for context, like he was in school when 9/11 happened.
Oh.
And I think the SGA president or something had like issued some official statement about like standing against terrorism or something. And then Wes put out some satirical column the next day. It was like, these Al-Qaeda members should be so scared of what some student body president at Tennessee says they shouldn't, that they shouldn't practice their terrorism or something like that. Like it was something along those lines, but that was the essence of Wes Rucker though. I mean, I think the biggest lesson in his life and his legacy is that everybody needs to be themselves, that, and I'm not saying this just because, he passed away and out of, like honor and a tribute or something like that. But I genuinely mean it when I say there will never be another Wes Rucker, whether that's at Tennessee or any other school, just because the guy was so unapologetically himself.
Yeah, I always respected that about him on Twitter. I mean, he was not afraid to say whatever he wanted to say. And, a lot of times he backed it up too. I mean, I know as being a person that tries to be active on Twitter at times, I mean, it's hard not to just go into that traditional like journalistic mindset where you just want to say things like by the book. And like, I always appreciated how he was just not afraid to just be himself and everything like that. And it's respectable. And I mean, it's not always easy to do that like you would think that it would be. But I mean, like I said, I mean, he seemed like such a genuine guy, and like he's been like the number one trusted source for me for so long, man, like so long. I mean, I can't imagine like a time where I didn't even follow him on Twitter. It's like as soon as I got a Twitter, he was like one of the first people I went across. And like, of course, I've had his post notifications turned on for, like I said, like about a decade or so. I mean, I don't know, he was just always so active. He was always just, just a voice you wanted to hear, whether you were reading it or listening to his voice.
Yeah, absolutely. A voice that everybody wanted to hear. And again, I think the thing that really separated Wes is the fact that you'd see his tweets and you're like, how on earth does anybody think of these things? And then you meet Wes in person and you realize, wow, he is actually like that. And that's admirable. Like that's consistency that you don't see from people. Like it's easy to say these things on the keyboard and then, be a little bit different away from the keyboard. But that's what made him so special in what he did. And, people respected him all over the country. I mean, I saw, I think it was, both Scott Van Pelt and Adam Schefter pumping up the GoFundMe at one point over the weekend, which if that does not tell you the kind of impact that Wes Rucker had on both this profession and then, of course, just locally here around Tennessee athletics, then I don't know what does.
I mean, even I was looking up before the show and even New York Post, and I'm sure that there was other major news outlets that were reporting his passing and everything like that too. So, I mean, he was way bigger than just like what he did for Tennessee. I mean, obviously he left his impact enough for people to remember him. And, I feel like that's how we all want to go out someday. Like we all want to be remembered in some sort of way or fashion. And I know that his legacy is going to continue to live on, regardless of everything that happened. And I mean, he's always going to be looked at as someone that was deserving of respect, and it seemingly was a kind person. Like I said, I never met him, but I mean, everything that I've seen about him, it seems like he was just a genuinely good guy. And I think it just speaks volumes that people outside of like, traditional like sports outlets have even like reported like everything that went on. I mean, I feel like that speaks volumes to the kind of person he was.
Yeah, so the GoFundMe right now, I think is sitting somewhere around $730,000. Last time I checked, they're on pace for $750,000. They'd of course love to get to $1 million. And then one thing too about Wes that I think is also remarkable is he had in his bio for a long time. I think it's still in there. Two-time learner of walking. He suffered a stroke and had to teach himself how to walk again, which that right there is a seriously impressive feat. Not just surviving the stroke, but then having to teach yourself how to, move again. Which that's again cannot tell you how impressive that is that he pulled that off.
And that shows the kind of fight that he had in him as well. I mean, to do that not only once but twice. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, like, you have something bad set back in your life. Like a lot of people oftentimes, just accept it and, just, think that maybe they can't ever walk ever again, or they can't do the things that they used to do. But I mean, the fact that he was able to pull that strength together and be able to do that, I mean, that's such an admirable thing. I mean, not to mention everything else that we mentioned about him. I feel like anyone that's looking up trying to get into the media world, they should look at the legacy that he left and use it as an example of, just how to be. Of course, still be genuine, because that's like how Wes was. But I mean, there's still a lot of lessons that you can learn from the way that he conducted himself and the way that he went about things.
It's how I imagine guitar players that grew up in like the late 1960s and early 70s looked at Jimi Hendrix. That's how us Tennessee media folk look at Wes Rucker, honestly. So, again, rest in peace to a Tennessee media legend. Again, there will never be another Wes Rucker, just because of everything. His whole body of work, it speaks for itself. You're never going to see that from another one of us. If I can be half the media personality that he is someday, I'd be happy about it, honestly. But I just wanted to get that off my chest, just because obviously I knew the guy, and a lot of people are hurt by what's happened in the last, I guess, 5 days now. So, but moving on to football, because we do talk football on this show too. Not so good development there too, with Joey Aguilar. He had his case ruled on Friday. I believe it was Friday. So a short order wound up being a week with Judge Haggerty. And the verdict ultimately wound up as with Haggerty not giving him the preliminary injunction, I should say. So Joey Aguilar will not suit up for the Vols in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation. I mean, we were on the train that he could have definitely elevated Tennessee's in 2026. But I mean, on the flip side, to play devil's advocate, I mean, you got to have a little bit respect for Judge Haggerty for not being biased in the case. And I know that there's a lot of people on the other side of the fence that agree with his decision. I mean, even a lot of Tennessee fans I've seen on Twitter think that it was a good thing that, Joey didn't get granted additional year. But the thing that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way about the whole situation is the fact that like a quarterback from the same state got granted an extra year of eligibility in Diego Pavia. And then he was able to elevate Vanderbilt to heights that they have never previously seen before. And I don't know if Joey Aguilar would have quite did the same, but I mean, based on the roster that Tennessee had surrounding him, you'd like to think that they would at least go to the playoffs. And I mean, it's just unfortunate that he's not going to be suiting up for the Vols next season. But I mean, I don't think all hope is lost. I mean, like I said before in previous podcasts, like I wanted George MacIntyre to be the guy. I started changing my mind a little bit more after we started discussing things about Joey Aguilar, like his experience and everything like that, and already knowing how the roster itself works. But I still think Tennessee is going to be in good hands. And then like we've mentioned on the show before, I mean, when has Josh Heupel ever had a bad quarterback? I mean, there's been quarterbacks that haven't been as good as others, but I mean, he's been able to take players that you wouldn't think would be able to do anything, like backup quarterbacks. I mean, like Joe Milton. I mean, even though he wasn't the greatest quarterback in the world, I mean, he threw like maybe 5 picks tops the year that he was a full-time starter. And then Hendon Hooker was just a backup at Virginia Tech. And then he arguably became one of the best quarterbacks in Tennessee football history. So, I mean, if Josh Heupel has a chance to develop someone like George MacIntyre, Faizon Brandon, then, I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit for them.
Yeah. So you mentioned the thing with Diego Pavia, and I guess history will tell us, like, if Vanderbilt goes on and has like 3 or 4 more great seasons and Tennessee is somewhere in the middle, it's like, man, the NCAA really screwed Tennessee here by allowing that to happen. And then not giving Joey his extra year of eligibility. No competitive balance there, which would be unfortunate. But ultimately, and I know we get dragged into this discussion every time we talk about the case with Joey, but I think this is a win for college sports as a whole, because the Pavia precedent with the unlimited JUCO years and then 4 years of college eligibility, that I think would have set an awful precedent for college football. And I'm kind of glad that it's been taken away for that reason, because, and I get it, JUCO guys want to have the opportunity to get money, but at the same time, like, you can't just have all these 28-year-olds in college football, and because that's, well, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you would be like 27 years old at the most if you were to play 4 years in JUCO and then transfer up to a Power 4 school and then profit off of NIL. So, and the NCAA has not been winning as much lately in court. That's well documented at this point, but they had to get a win somewhere, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that it happened to Tennessee, of all schools. But I mean, I don't know. We've seen Tennessee's fair share of bad luck before. I know me and you both have witnessed some horrific games in the past, a couple in particular this past season. But I mean, you know, I agree with you that it is a good thing that the NCAA like ultimately ended up winning this court case in particular, because I don't know. I mean, college football has already changed so much in like the past 5-10 years that it's just like hard to keep up, and you kind of want some familiarity here, like we used to have back in the day. So I mean, it's a good thing that you know, that these people can't take opportunities from other young players that are, you know, just trying to fight for their spot, and you know, it could potentially end up hurting some players that potentially could go to the NFL and be really successful, but hey, they didn't really get to see, they didn't really get to live up to the potential that they could have, because someone that was significantly older than was taking their place. Like, I know the transfer portal is still a thing, but that doesn't mean that it makes your situation easier having to go to another school and have to fight in another competition once again.
Yeah, no, there's some things that the NCAA is slowly doing to ensure that it can at least try and keep college sports within order. And you know, the JUCO years I think are a small step there. There probably need to be some guardrails around the portal at some point as well. I don't know when those will happen, like how TJ Finley magically has another year of eligibility at whatever school he's at now. I think Incarnate Word maybe. Yeah, he's in the portal again. So, like you have to set some limits there. Like, guys can't be transferring 5-6 times in college. Like, that should not be an option for anybody. And they already did that by shutting the spring portal window. The spring portal window was pretty dumb, in all honesty. So, and they've already, I guess the one thing now is that you're kind of close to a blanket 5th year, because the rules committee, at least I think it was the rules committee, voted on 9 games for a red shirt as opposed to 4, which is basically 5 years of college eligibility if guys want it. So just to try and simplify things, but oh, yeah. I was going to mention this at some point. I'm glad you did, David. He's trying to do it again. Charles Bediako is. Here's the thing. If Joey Aguilar cannot become eligible to play football for a 7th year, then Charles Bediako should not at all be eligible.
I mean, especially already playing in a professional league as well. I mean,
guess who Alabama plays this weekend, Jordan?
They play Tennessee?
They sure do. And
Of
he
course.
got the TRO last time to play against Tennessee. Tennessee beat him, though.
Yeah, they sure did. But I mean, we've seen examples in the past. Like I know Bo Jackson, like I'm pretty positive from what I heard back in the day that he ended up getting forced into going to the NFL because he attended something with like a major league baseball team or something like that. And it basically like forced his hand into going to the draft. If I'm not mistaken, I could be getting that wrong. And I'm sure there's several other examples from the past of like, like you speak into a pro sports team and then you can't like, you automatically lose your eligibility. So I think it's kind of crazy now that a guy that literally like played in like the minor league version of the NBA was able to come back and play for his old college. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, at that point, just I mean, send Hendon Hooker back to Tennessee or Tyler Bray or something like that. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I don't think Bray would do as well for Tennessee, but definitely think that Hendon Hooker would be useful right about now with this impending quarterback situation that we've got to address. But yeah, they're just figuring things out in college athletics right now, slowly but surely. It's taken them long enough to try and figure it out. They're still trying to expand the NCAA tournament, which is the stupidest thing ever. They should not be doing that. Because I have never understood where the NCAA's priorities are and some of this stuff. Like they'll say something to the effect of, we'll grant Charles Bediako temporary eligibility. Although they didn't actually say that. What am I trying to say? They will look at some things with disdain, like the James Najee and Charles Bediako deals where they're coming back from professional basketball to play in the college ranks. They'll condemn it. They'll condemn it, but don't be putting Gatorade and cookies in the recruit's hotel room. That's an NCAA violation, and you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened with Bruce Pearl back in the day and how he ended up losing his job with Tennessee, which, I mean, I don't know if there's more details that came out about it because it was a long time ago, but from my understanding, that was just because he had like a cookout with like some hot dogs with like
the barbecue.
Yeah, he had a barbecue with some players and ended up losing his job. I mean, like, whatever happened to that version of the NCAA?
No, I don't know. They've lost a lot of power in the last 15 years. Like, I think maybe Ole Miss was the last football program they came down really hard on. Because, there used to be several. Penn State was for more than a few different reasons, but you kind of had to with that whole scenario. Ohio State got a postseason ban for like 1 year maybe.
And that was just like tattoos and like autographs and stuff, right? I mean, that would be legal today.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Reggie Bush's Heisman. Like that's completely legal today. Everything that occurred out there at USC. So, because NIL in and of itself has taken away a lot of its power. But I do think I still don't think that they properly adjusted with NIL in terms of just everything that they wanted to do with NIL. Like it's not just, you're not funding the players to like giving them, what am I trying to say? Like it's not just going toward their scholarships and like fun little endorsement deals. It's straight up like, here's a 7-figure check. Go throw me a few touchdown passes. Like that's what it is.
I mean,
and I don't think the NCAA prepared for that.
I mean, if college athletics wants to act like that they're becoming like the minor leagues of these professional sports leagues, then hey, why don't we have a collective bargaining agreement? And why don't we have cap spaces and like player organizations and stuff like that? Like you really want to act like a professional league, then let's start putting cap spaces on some of these teams. There's no reason that all these schools in Texas should just be able to hand out oil money to all these recruits and just pile on 5-star after 5-star just because they have the money. I mean, it's an unfair advantage to these other schools. I mean, like, what about some of these, what about some of these smaller places that don't have as much money, like some of these like Mountain West schools or something like that? I mean, not like that they would have much competition to begin with, but it's like at that point you make it like essentially impossible. Even if you're expanding the playoffs, we all know how that goes for those kind of teams now at this point. It's like, oh yeah, here's a pat on your back. You made it to the playoffs. Now just get absolutely ran by like some school like Alabama and then just go back home.
Yeah, Rhonda brings up something here about the Michigan cheating scandal. Yeah, the Michigan thing, like that. If that was not the nail on the coffin, and what they can and can't do in terms of just ruining programs for a few seasons at a time, then I don't know what there is left that can be taken away, or what they can do. Like I saw something the other day where they were getting all frustrated about losing some of these cases with eligibility, like Joey's case, for example. Now, of course, they ended up winning that one, but they've obviously lost some in the past, like Trinidad Chambliss in particular at Ole Miss is an example to point to this year. And I think it was On3 put something out that said they're threatening to vacate wins. Here's the thing with vacating wins. They can do it, but I'm not going to remember that Washington outdueled Michigan in the 2023 national championship because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't change history, even though they decided to do it. And it's the same thing with Louisville winning the 2013 NCAA basketball tournament. I'm always going to remember Russ Smith and Montrezl Harrell on that run winning the national championship. Luke Hancock, all those guys. I'm not going to remember what the NCAA decided to do to vacate that win and then award, oddly enough, Michigan the title because that's who they beat to play that game. So I don't know what kind of effect that has. I know scholarship reductions do, but they didn't threaten with scholarship reductions.
Well, you brought up Reggie Bush earlier, and I don't think that anyone like everyone accepted him as the Heisman Trophy winner, even though they tried to take that away for him for the longest time. I mean, and at the same time too, as far as I know, I mean, schools can claim like whatever national championships they want too. So, I mean, I don't know if that like outright does anything. Like,
I mean, Auburn claims the 2004 one that they did not win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of had a strong case for that one compared to some of the but they accepted like how many more? Like I think Auburn now has something like 12 national championships.
They claimed a ridiculous amount of them. And Tennessee should have claimed the one from, I think it's
85.
No, it's not. Well, maybe they should claim it from 85. I was thinking 38 or 39 when they awarded it to Texas A&M, but Tennessee, that was part of the scoreless streak that Neyland had. Like Tennessee should absolutely claim that one. If Auburn's going to be claiming national championship games in an era in which they're being played, shout out David here with the Peyton Siva poll. That's pretty awesome too. I had almost forgotten about Peyton Siva. I want to say I saw his name somewhere recently. I forget where. But yeah, Tennessee should absolutely claim those titles from the 30s that the NCAA did not award them.
Well, I read an article before, and I'm pretty sure if Tennessee wanted to claim all the national championships that they technically could, then they would have 12 national championships, which would make it a little bit less of an uphill hill to climb to catch up to Alabama and stuff like that, which I mean is like just taking that and ran with it. And I've seen some questionable things about some of the national championships that Alabama claimed, but they did it a while ago, so they're not going to talk about that like they do with Auburn right now because it was so recent.
That's like Kentucky basketball claiming all those national championships from like the 1940s, doing all that stuff when none of us were around for it. But this whole thing with Joey creates an interesting situation for Tennessee, and a lot of you guys have already gotten into this and the comments about the quarterback competition that it opens up between George MacIntyre, Faizon Brandon, and we think Ryan Staub. We know he's in the quarterback room, obviously. We just don't know how much of a competitor he is. Rhonda wishes that Heupel had played GMAC some more in the bowl game. Here's the thing. It's not even that I wish he played more in the bowl game, but maybe let's not waste snaps on Merklinger in the ETSU, UAB, and New Mexico State games. Like that's kind of my thought process there. I'm glad that Joey was able to play in that game and just let him go out on a strong note. Like I don't want like part of the problem with bowl games is because they do matter. They do matter still. They count in your overall record, even though some teams don't take them seriously. In this case, if you had done that, you would not have been taking it as seriously as you would with Joey. And I do understand that he was not quite 100%. Obviously, we've documented that on this show, but I think it was just kind of a salute to Joey in that game, and of course you're doing it against Illinois. But again, I just wish we could have seen more of George in the 3 games that we knew that Tennessee was going to win big.
Yeah, I think Tennessee ultimately made the right decision, playing Joey Aguilar for the Illinois game. I mean, Tennessee didn't win, obviously, but I mean, he gave them the best competitive chance to go out there and win that game. But I agree with you with Jake Merklinger. Like every time I saw him come onto the field, it honestly frustrated me a little bit because we all knew in the back of our heads watching these games that he was not the future of Tennessee football. And I mean, it was kind of evident whenever he did come in and play. Like I remember when me and you were at that ETSU game. I mean, he kind of looked like paranoid back there. And I mean, I'm like, and it's like, dude, you're playing against ETSU and you're out here like worrying. I'm like, what's going to happen if you have to go play against Georgia or like LSU or something like that? I mean, you can get your head caved in, man. I mean, at least the small sample size that we saw from MacIntyre, I mean, he seemed to be have a little bit of poise in the pocket out there. And I mean, that's saying a lot considering he's a true freshman. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I wanted George MacIntyre should have been the second guy from. I mean, if Tennessee was going out and blowing out every team to the point where the backup had to come in every game, maybe I'll change my mind because I wouldn't want George MacIntyre to lose his red shirt. But that wasn't the case. Joey Aguilar played like 95% of the snaps like the entire season, and there was a small sample size of Merklinger and MacIntyre out there. So with that being the case, I feel like MacIntyre should have gotten his opportunity more.
Yeah, you bring up that ATSU game. The one long completion I remember Merklinger hitting in that game was caught by Brazel, and Brazel had to run back like 10 yards to the ball to make his quarterback look good. So yeah. I just remember thinking on that drive, like, man, this guy might not be it. Like I know Josh Heupel does not like to reveal his next moves very often. He's adamant about not doing that in press conferences, has been his entire time at Tennessee. And he was like that in the 2025 offseason leading up to the decision at quarterback, and then eventually going with Joey Aguilar. It's like, man, there's no need to there's no need to keep that one hidden for that long. It's not like Jake Merklinger is truly competing against Joey for the job in that scenario. Hold on, I saw something up here earlier. Yeah, okay, so important point from David about it potentially being close between George and Faizon. They can both play in the first game against Furman. That's one reason why I'm very glad that game is there this season in the opening slot. Like, obviously, I don't think it's a game where your fan base is going to get super amped up just because it's Furman. It's kind of like the Chattanooga game a couple of years ago. Like, you're out there in the heat. You're there maybe a half, and then it's just too hot and you want to go. But this time around, it's important, though, because you have a legitimate quarterback competition between George MacIntyre and Faizon Brandon. Faizon's a higher-rated recruit coming out of high school than George is. And, you know, he's got some tools as well, some physical tools that, you know, are mirroring George at the very least. You know, George kind of has that ability to move around in the pocket, create throws that are not there initially, just from what we've seen on his high school tape. And I think that's important to remember. Like you brought in a border. Well, he was a 5-star, and then the 247s and on threes of the world did that thing they do where they magically take away a star from a kid after he commits to Tennessee. And then Faizon, I forget if they did that to Faizon or not too. I'm just so numb by it at this
Not
point.
with 24/7 that I
Okay.
saw.
Yeah, because on three does that thing they do where they take stars away from everybody, losing your credibility by the day on three.
Yeah, from what I saw, 24/7 still had Faizon as the number. Not, I mean, I guess they're quarterback heavy on there because he was the third rated quarterback, but he was also the third rated player in the country. But yeah, like as far as like both of them playing against Furman, like I know that there's that old saying that says if you got two quarterbacks, then you got none. But I don't think that matters against an FCC or FCS opponent. Like you go out there, play both guys, split the reps. I mean, of course, Josh Heupel's probably going to have a good idea of who his starting quarterback's going to be at that point, considering the season's already going to arrive. But I mean, why not just play like one of them one half and the other, unless some like absolute craziness happen, but I highly doubt that's going to happen against Furman. So you might as well give both the guys the shot and at least see what they can do out there.
Yeah, I think you don't want to do what Sunbelt Billy did a couple of years ago at Florida, where you play one guy 2 possessions and the other guy the other possession.
No, not that.
That's a bad idea, and of course it wound up not being the case for that long because Graham Mertz blew out his ACL at Tennessee, so it forced Lagway into action. But I do think, if you're going to name a starter between the two during the game, like roll out one guy for a half, let him play. You maybe give him a possession in the second half, and then just see what you got with the other guy in the second half, because I think that's important. And remember, you like we discussed just a second ago, you can play 9 games and keep that red shirt, and it was at 4 previously, so it's not as if this one would have mattered. As a matter of fact, I think you would have kept it even if you had the 4, just because you've only got 2 games against these teams this year that are not group of 4 teams, or group of 4 power 4 teams. I'm sorry. So it's not as much of a problem now. There was something I was thinking of earlier, Jordan. What was I going to say? When is the last time Tennessee trotted out a really good white quarterback? Tyler Bray? Like, that has to be the last time.
I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it definitely wasn't Justin Worley or Nathan Peterman, I'll tell you that.
Or Quentin Dormady. There's a reason Quentin
Dormady
transferred to Central Michigan after the 2017 season.
Dang, I can't believe it's been that long.
It's like, and again, there's a reason why Keller Chris, JT Shrout, and Brian Maurer did not make it more than a game or 2 at a time as starters for Tennessee. They just weren't that good. But I seriously do think Tyler Bray is the last good one that Tennessee had. That was a white guy starting at quarterback.
Well, it's funny you mention all this because I went to a Wisconsin football game probably about like 4 or 5 years ago, and I saw a guy at a bar and he was wearing a Texas shirt, and I ended up going up to talk to him about like who's the real UT and all that stuff. And one of his arguments back to me was like, Tennessee's racist, right? I'm like, dude, I was like, have you seen like all our quarterbacks? I'm like, have you never heard of Condor Holloway or anything like that? I'm like, if
Steve Martin won a national championship.
Exactly, man. I'm like, what are you on, man? I'm like, just tell me you know nothing about Tennessee without telling me you know nothing about Tennessee. And that's why Tennessee's football program's older than your state.
Yeah. And we helped you become a state. You have us to thank. You have the Tennessee Volunteers to thank for you becoming a state. And Harrison Bailey was not good. Shout out Jeremy Pruitt for that one. We all thought he was going to be incredible, and because I remember he and I were freshmen at UT at the same time, and I remember seeing him and like, I don't know, I think it was Tyler Barron. I know Tyler Barron was with him, and like Key Lawrence were walking around him at times. And just thinking he would be the future. And then Hendon and Joe got here and there was just no shot. But maybe George can break the curse. We'll see. And I guess you can't count out Ryan Staub either, although as David says here, if Staub somehow wins the job, I'd be questioning Heupel's quarterback evaluations and development. Here's the thing, though. We've not questioned the fact that Heupel can't field a competent starter, although we have questioned in the past if he has been starting the right guys. At least in 2021, I think it was appropriate. 2023, I think, in retrospect, we kind of understand now why Joe Milton was given the role instead of Nico. And then obviously this past year, like there was no way Jake Merklinger was starting over Joey Aguilar. So the fact that Nico wound up transferring out in the 2024 season was not phenomenal for him. I think has earned him a little bit more trust among the fan base. That the 21 thing with Joe Milton balling out in practice, which I'm sure he did, and Hendon Hooker not looking as sharp in practice was probably something that wound up swinging Heupel toward Joe Milton as opposed to Hendon Hooker then. But with Ryan Staub, and I've told Jordan this a couple times, I could be totally wrong, but to me, he feels like another Gaston Moore. Guy has a decent set of wheels. He's not the biggest quarterback out there. And he was coming in to Colorado this past season, I think, as a third string, sitting behind former Tennessee quarterback for like 2 months, Caden Salter, and then Julian Lewis, who was, I forget if he's a 4 or 5 star freshman out there at Colorado, but was just one of those situations where it's like they have their guys at Colorado and Staub was not going to be one of them. I don't think he actually wins the job, though. I feel like you'd have to be kind of crazy to give him the job at this point.
I feel like there's almost a 0% chance that he ends up becoming Tennessee's starting quarterback by the start of this season. But if you want to make the argument for him potentially starting, it's like what I was telling you before the show. It's like Joe Milton, I think, had some pretty horrific stats from Michigan when he came into Tennessee. And he was not that great when he was first the starter, but I mean, like when 2023 came around, I mean, he wasn't like the worst quarterback in the world. So maybe that's what Staub could be, but I highly doubt it. He's already played 3 years of college football, and his career stats is 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And especially with all of the hype that's been around both MacIntyre and Brandon, I mean, I just don't see a world where Staub ends up becoming the starter. And plus, too, if Heupel was to do that, to choose the guy that has the more experience collegiately, I mean, he's done that before. I don't think he's going to do it now with Staub, but I mean, like, you're going to severely hurt your chances of keeping MacIntyre or Brandon if they end up touting him out on the field. So I just don't happening at whatsoever. I mean, I think he's like you said, he's like gas pipe out there, or he's like a Navy Schuler type. It's like if everything just unfolds and collapses, then like, yes, Tennessee technically has a quarterback to go step in. But I think that's about all they have with Staub is technically he's a quarterback.
Yeah. I think you're looking at that too. And I'm not seeing a guy that's really going to win out in that quarterback battle. I think it's truly between George MacIntyre and Faizon at this point. Josh Dobbs was not a good practice player either, but was a gamer. Yes, he absolutely was a gamer. Man, think about how bad that staff's quarterback evaluation had to be to say, hey, Justin Worley and Nathan Peterman are significantly better players than Josh Dobbs. Like, and I get the first year it was kind of rough, but you didn't think he was going to be there in that role in his first year in 2013. I mean, Justin Worley was just consistently mediocre. And, of course, when Butch was – because I'll never forget, I think they had lost to – I know they had lost to Ole Miss pretty bad. There was obviously the 10-9 game as well, where they just said Worley is not going to be the guy moving forward. And they redshirted Dobbs that season, and what they ended up doing instead was they threw Peterman into the Alabama game. And that's like, when you do that, you're just you're not even trying to win the game. Like we've seen this guy play. It's some of the worst football imaginable against Florida in the swamp from the year before. And they threw him out there and they got down 27 in a hurry to Alabama. Like, what did you expect? But Dobbs came in and made it look like a semi-respectable defeat. And if you don't put Dobbs in that game, are we talking about a team that beats Iowa in the Gator Bowl that year? Or are we talking about a 4-8, 3-9 type team just because of how bad the quarterback play was up until they decided they had the brilliant idea to put Dobbs in the middle of the Alabama game?
Yeah, and I would have liked to.
I'm sorry, Rhonda.
I would like to apologize to Josh Dobbs if you ever see this, because I don't know what I said back in the day on Instagram, but it was around the time he was a freshman quarterback at Tennessee, and I guess I was unhappy with his play at the point. Of course, I didn't know how great of a player he'd become at Tennessee, but I'm still blocked on Instagram to this day. Josh Dobbs, if you ever see this video, can you please unblock me on Instagram?
You and like 90% of the fan base are blocked by Josh Dobbs on all social media platforms. He had kind of a toxic relationship with them, but Dobbs was a he was kind of baptized by fire, but he wound up turning it around those last 3 seasons at Tennessee. Riley Ferguson, that's another name.
I had some belief in him at one point.
He went on to have a pretty solid college career. Where was it? Memphis,
yeah.
Yeah, because they had a decent run of quarterbacks, because I know they had Paxton Lynch at one point, and then they had him out there because he didn't play much at UT, obviously, adding to the whole streak of not stellar white quarterbacks to come through Tennessee and Riley Ferguson. But I don't know, maybe MacIntyre can break that. It's just been a while, man. It's kind of crazy that it's really been this long now.
Well, I think if any quarterback can break that curse, it would be MacIntyre, because I was reviewing his film the other day, and man, I didn't realize some of the things that he was capable of. Like on his huddle tape, I forget which year, I'm assuming it was like his junior or senior season. The first highlight on there, he threw the ball all the way from his 15-yard line all the way to the opposing team's 30-yard line. So that means he threw a 55-yard pass on the dot. And I'm sure you saw the highlight as well, where he was trying to escape out of the pocket to the left. He hit a spin move around a defender and then completed a pass 10, 15 yards down the field. I mean, he's got some ability out there. But I liked a lot what I saw from Faizon Brandon too. And I mean, I think, let me pull up the stats right here, because I think it was a 71% completion percentage in 3 years of playing. I know he had 77.1 his junior year, and he probably would have hated that his senior year if he didn't get hurt. But I mean, I think MacIntyre, he's got a cannon of an arm, and he seems like he can complete those deep passes. But Faizon Brandon's got that accuracy down pat. I mean, there's some throws where it seemed like he had absolutely no business even trying to make those throws. Some of them were in double coverage. But I mean, he would throw the ball to get these receivers open. So I mean, I feel like Tennessee's got 2 talented quarterbacks there. I lean towards George MacIntyre because I just feel like I know Josh Heupel pretty well now, and I feel like he'll give a nod to the guy that's already been there a little bit. But I don't know. They're both heck of players based on their high school tape.
Here's one question I do want to ask about George MacIntyre, Jordan, because this has nothing to do with stats, film, or anything of that matter. Does it concern you at all that he played for the worst Brentwood Academy team of all time that went 1-9 a couple years ago in the regular season?
Well, I mean, that's fair to mention, because I mean, Brentwood Academy has been a powerhouse for as long as I've been watching high school football and keeping up with it. And I will say this, I wasn't fully focused on the game because I was a little stressed because I was interning with WSMV at the time. So I was trying to make sure I'm studying the people I was shadowing and everything like that. But I don't recall George MacIntyre doing anything too crazy in the game. I watched him play. I think he had one deep pass, but besides that, I didn't really see much from him. And I was there in person.
Yeah, and I guess you have to keep in mind that was his junior year as well, so he still had another year of development. But it's just something you wonder about. Like, I mean, and this team was good, but my Brentwood Bruins beat them that year, and it's not like Brentwood beats Brentwood Academy often in football. They don't play often in football, but that's just something that's kind of weird because like those are like a lot of the really athletic kids in the area where I grew up, like they'll wind up at the private schools, pay that tuition, and then wind up playing for them instead of going to the public schools in the area. So a lot of that talent's getting poached over there, and you're still losing to that public school talent, which I don't know. It's just something that creeps into the back of my mind every now and again. Whereas Faizon is a proven winner in North Carolina. He's playing in state championship games all the time.
Back-to-back state championship.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was just something to think about. In a perfect world, Josh Dobbs played 4 years. Riley Ferguson played his 5th year in 2017. Butch is not fired then. I think we still want Butch to be fired at some point because I don't think he would have been a long-term fit for Tennessee. He was going to get in the way of the program no matter how long he was there. And yes, that's what we were just talking about, David, the 1-win season, which is slightly concerning. And again, Heupel will make the change if necessary. We saw it, although it was due to injury in that Pittsburgh game. Where they put Hendon in, and Hendon looked a lot better in the offense than Joe. But if he feels it's necessary, he will do it. I have faith in him to at least do that, just because he knows quarterbacks. He played the position.
Yeah, I mean, it is probably going to be MacIntyre to start off the season, but I wouldn't be surprised if there ends up becoming a situation where Faizon Brandon ends up taken over. I mean, because you just watch his tape, man. I mean, he was a 5-star quarterback for a reason. There's a reason why he's the number 3 player in the country, according to 24/7. I mean, he is just absolutely spectacular, just fitting the ball like right in the money, right into the receiver's hands. And he was doing that like on the tape that I was watching, because I couldn't he didn't have as much tape as I could see on there. Or maybe is just because it wasn't on Huddle. Maybe it was on YouTube or somewhere else. But I was seeing a lot of him making these plays when he was like a junior or a sophomore or something like that. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, he seems like he can come in and be a really good quarterback, but I just don't know if Josh Heupel is going to start a true freshman, because he has not done that yet.
Yeah, he's not started a true freshman yet. He's gone the redshirt freshman route with Nico, but that was because he had Joe at the time. He didn't feel the need to start a true freshman, and I still don't think I still don't think it would have been the right move to do it at the time, because some people wanted it, and I never could see the rationale behind it. And sure enough, 2 years or 3 years later, we understand why it didn't happen. Like somebody else we know, David, unfortunately. Yeah. So it happens from time to time. Sometimes the best players don't always win the Heisman. They go to defensive backs.
Or they go to players that just play for Notre Dame and only win like 4 games in that season, and they still give him the Heisman Trophy, because Johnny Majors got screwed too. I mean, if we're being honest, it probably should have been Jim Brown's Heisman that year, if we're being realistic. But I mean, if you're going to go based on the schools that they're at and everything like that, Johnny Majors deserved that Heisman over Paul Hornung.
Yeah. Good point with Dylan Gabriel here. But of course, UCF, and that's pre-Big 12 UCF. That's American Athletic Conference as well. But he kept transferring up and eventually got better when he went to Venables, and, of course, Dan Lanning when he got to those ranks. But you have to credit Heupel and I guess Levy a little bit for his development. He's been in that in those systems in the past. But we'll see if Heupel changes his ways with Faizon. Again, you have to trust him to do what is right this season as it relates to the quarterback position. But I think that's about it for us tonight, Jordan. Did we miss anything else?
Not anything news related, but I should have already had it pulled up. I saw an interesting stat here. It was from Pro Football College's Twitter page. Apparently, Ty Redmond led all true freshmen in forced incompletions last year with 11. So I thought that was pretty cool because, I'm a big believer in Ty Redmond, even though he was a freshman and there were some things he didn't do great. I mean, he was a freshman at the end of the day. So it'll be exciting to see him develop a little bit more this upcoming season.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing him and what that entire defense can do and under this new staff on the defensive end. But that'll do it for us tonight here on Tennessee Volunteers Live. Again, appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. If you're new here to the channel, please like the video, share the channel with your friends, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We are live every Monday night at 8 Eastern time, unless, of course, Tennessee happens to be playing in a game. Again, we'll be live post-game once the football season starts again. So we will keep you up to date on all the things in the offseason as we move forward here. For Jordan Binkley, I'm Tucker Harlan. We will talk to you guys again next week.